Kicking it with KeKe. Kicking it with KeKe. Kicking it with KeKe. Full of personality. Switching up the storyline on God, we making history.
Writing books, changing lives, one day at a time. Put your problems to the side. Enjoy yourself. Free your mind.
Kicking it with KeKe.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe, Life, Love, and all that other shit. I am your girl, KeKe Chanel, award-winning author, lifestyle blogger, and certified life coach. You know how I do. I love things, mindset, and personal growth. That is the overall theme for this podcast. So I bring people who are doing things every day to make life better for themselves as well as other people. I am joined with a fellow author today. Y'all know I love to give my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. So I'll do the same for him. Go ahead. Welcome. Tell the people who you are and what you do.
My name is SemajE, and that's who I go by. I am a Black author, author in general, but I have some really good books that are out there and out and about. I'm also a clothing designer, as well as in my real life, I work for East Bainbridge Parish School District, where I'm a district administrator. But my alias, I'm SemajE.
All right, SemajE, y'all heard it here. Listen, before we get into all things books, look, I had to wear my Black Authors Matter shirt because
Love
we're
it.
Black authors, we matter, and we need y'all to go and buy these books, okay? All right.
Okay.
But the overall theme for Kicking It with KeKe is about mindset and personal growth. I believe that when we operate as our best self, we go through life more abundantly. So when it comes to mindset, what does that mean for SemajE?
Well, it's taken a long time to kind of become comfortable in your own skin. And so what mindset is how do I get to this place where I'm okay with being SemajE? I'm okay with having this person that I can put on the shelf for when I need to pull him. I think that Beyonce kind of said it, her name is Beyonce
Sasha
knows,
Fierce?
but then she turns into Sasha Fierce. And it's
Yes.
kind of the same example of being SemajE. It's this person who in the daytime I'm really kind of straight-laced. I do what I need to do, but there's that creative side. I'm a Gemini, so I kind of
Oh, okay.
that twin thing
The
that kind of
twins.
cuts on when it needs to be. So I think just being that mindset is just being comfortable in my skin, being able to use my creative gifts to really push the narrative of people being happy or excited or being okay with who they are, and using those same things that I've written about to also use in my own life, right?
Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that. And do you believe that mindset is a pivotal role in being a creative?
Absolutely. I think that every day there's a different opportunity to wake up and to be who you want to be,
Mhm.
just how you want to be it. And so you don't have to live in anybody's box, or you can kick the damn box away and just live completely in the open. And
Listen.
so, yeah, I think that being an author, that creative juices kind of pulls you to different places because you wake up with this thing that someone told me was what they call a spiritual download. And so it sits in your
Mm.
system and it stays there just edging you on until you actually got to get it out. And so, yeah, that it all plays a part of your mindset. It actually helps you to understand that when there are things that have to be done, even though you try to wait and don't want to do it, it keeps pushing you to get it done.
Mhm.
Those things that kind of keep you from that you somehow want to procrastinate, it keeps pushing at you till you actually get it done. So yeah, it definitely affects your mindset, to make sure that you are on task with the gifts that God has given you to actually use and to actually share with other people.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
listen, it's gonna be a
yeah,
good one. I already
yeah.
know it's gonna be a good one. Tell you, pause it right quick, go get your friends, share it out. It's gonna be a good one. All right,
Absolutely.
so we talked about mindset. I always like to talk about personal growth and development because you can't have one without the other. As you develop with self personally, that goes with changing your mindset and allowing those different mindsets to shift. So, how do you incorporate something positive every day to make sure that you're maintaining your personal growth and personal development?
Well, first of all, I look at a reflection of myself and how can I be better. It's
Mhm.
always so hard to point things to other people about what they're not doing and who they are not, and or if they miss it or they don't have good relationships, or are they always causing problems. but I always be able, I might be to get up every morning and take a few minutes to look at myself and what do I want my day to look like? Am I going to run into that coworker that I didn't get along with yesterday that got on my damn nerves? How am I how am I going to be somebody different today going into that workspace? Or how am I going to go to a loved one that I was upset with last night, because you're never supposed to do that as well? How am I going to continue the relationship that I have with my wife that's going to be good, that affects how my kids look at me as a black father? Because a lot of times that's not, it's not typical to see us in the households. And so again, I always start with me. I always know that they'll work with me. Look, I've been married to a lady so long, I'm like, she crazy for just being with me, but it's me and it's reflection every day, just trying to be somebody better. So that's why I start off just looking at myself before I can put my hands or my mouth on anybody, which I try not to do at all anyway. I always take the opportunity to reflect on myself.
Absolutely, because it's personal growth,
It's
personal
personal
development.
growth.
It's
Absolutely.
personal. You have to be able to evaluate self. And that
Absolutely.
comes with being self-aware, having
Absolutely.
that self-accountability. And then you have to have self-love, self-appreciation, and self-acceptance, learning yourself so you have self-discovery. It's all the self. And I could go on and on about that
Right.
because I'm
Yeah, right.
passionate about self,
Right.
because I wasn't always this version of myself.
Yes.
I was
Absolutely.
I was like
Absolutely.
lost and broken and didn't love myself. But now look at me.
Okay.
Can't
Come on.
tell me nothing,
Come
okay?
on. And I think we've all been through that. I think we've all gone through those stages where we were very unsure about who we are as a person. I mean, as a male, I grew up I grew up loving Michael Jackson. I thought he was one of the best dancers out there. So while maybe some others while playing basketball, hell, I was watching Thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Or while this typical idea of who I should have been or who I am, was just very difficult, especially as a black boy growing up, because you kind of held to some stereotypes.
Right.
But I also learned that I'm actually good being me, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going to attract those people that I need to be around. And at this point in my life, I only put myself in places where I can handle the situation around me, or I remove myself. And so,
Right.
and then I also go back to reevaluate, why can't you be in that space? Why can't you do those things? It always goes back to that self-reflection. So the books have also helped me because my characters have been, those who helped me get to these certain places, because I can write about it, think about it, and reevaluate myself upon it.
So you just gave me the topic for today. I'm just good being me.
Just good being me.
Listen, elaborate a little bit on that, because you said something how it's kind of stereotypical as a black man and a black boy. You're looked upon as strange or weird for not being into sports and wanted to, be a creative and like art and stuff like that. So, what can you tell a listener who is feeling alone, just being themselves? They don't want to play sports. They don't want to, whatever. What can you tell them today?
Let me tell you, and a lot of people may not know, I coached the cheerleaders at Southern University for 24 years. It's not typical to
Oh,
be a male cheerleader coach. That stereotype of a black male as a cheerleader is like, wait a minute.
yeah.
I'm also raising a black boy. And so we've had talks before. Like, I had to sit down with him and say, look, how do you feel about your dad being a cheerleader coach? And he's like, Dad, wait, what you mean? We travel to games on weekends. We're on the sidelines. All my friends are sitting in the stands, and I'm high fiving, players. I think that is amazing. I've never had problems with my sexuality at all, but there was
Hmm.
always a difference in how I felt about certain things. And so when I started learning to understand who I am as a person and really
Hmm.
start to love me for who I am, then I had no problems with whoever I chose. Whatever I was choosing to do. I knew that there was a responsibility that I always had to my family,
Hmm.
because I'm a first generation person graduated from college and that sort of thing. So I knew that there was some responsibility I had to my family. I knew being married with kids, there's a responsibility that I have to my wife and to my kids, especially my son.
Hmm.
Seeing him having to see a black male role model in his life, but he didn't have to go searching for one. He had one that was in the room with him or the room
Right.
next to him. But again, I say to people, you still go through life. It's like a roller coaster. I mean, there's some really high moments, and in a split second, it turns and it drops. But if you
Right.
hold on long enough, you go right back up again, right? And so we don't ever get off this roller coaster. We just learn how to ride. We
Mm.
know that curve is going to hit us, and we can't say that the thing is never going to come back. This problem is never going to come back again. On the roller coaster, it may spin you a little bit. It may even take you upside down, but you're strapped in. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
You're strapped
Ooh.
in, and so you have that harness that keeps you where you're supposed to be. Know that you're safe and protected in that place, and that's one thing that I had to learn about myself. I had to learn that I'm okay with being SemajE. I'm okay with being this person that I am, and okay to be able to use how I use myself and my art and my person and who I love and who I choose to love and the people that I want around me. So it's been a journey. But I would say to any lonely person out there, hold on. If you strapped in and harnessed in, and I say that harness is God. That metaphor of harness is God. We go through all these twists and turns. He did not say it would not be a roller coaster ride, but he said you strapped in, and I'm holding you really tight. So
Listen, I'm
enjoy the
trying
ride.
not to shout over here. I got goosebumps right here because you said it, but I was thinking, I was about to say, my harness is God. And you
Absolutely.
said it. So
Absolutely.
look, I don't know what y'all believe in. We believe in God over here.
That's
so
right.
whatever or whoever you believe in, make sure that that's your anchor. Make
That's
sure
right.
that when you have those ups and downs and those curves and things, because as long as you keep living, you will have those curveballs and
That's
ups and
right.
downs, and life will
Absolutely.
hit you because it's better than the alternative. Somebody is not here
Right.
to
Somebody's not here.
experience those bumps, those ups and downs and things like that. So thank you for that. That just right there was a word,
Yeah.
and you just poured into the audience. And so somebody is thinking in their room right now, just shouting like, "Oh, okay, I got it. All right,
Okay,
yes,
you're right.
I got it." All right, so we're gonna get into these books. We're gonna get into these books. So I know this is like a typical question, but when did you know that you wanted to be a writer?
Did not know. Actually, it's funny because I did not know. I kind of God kind of gives me certain things that I don't, how they've always said, or people say that, you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. I don't actually believe that kind of. I believe that you're a jack of all trades, and if you can do it, you can do it because it's gifted for you to do. So I
Your
woke up one
gifts will
morning.
make room for
They make room
you.
for you, right? They make room for you. And I don't think that you receive certain things until it's time for you to receive them. A baby is born without teeth, but there's a time where the baby actually going to need teeth. And so those teeth start to come in when they actually need them. You know what I'm saying? You start walking and run as you need these things. And so I don't know if these gifts were always with me from the beginning. If they were dormant until it was time for them to use them. So I woke up one morning and this book was in my head. And I was thinking, oh my God, I got to use this. I've got to write this book. I got to write this book. I sat down and I wrote this book in 3 days. It just kept coming in between work, and I was just writing and writing and writing. But it was so strange because it was so many things that in the world back in 2000, it was so taboo, like stuff we didn't talk about, we didn't do. Now the world is free now. Everybody in session. You can say what you want, do what you want. You watch TV, you can watch tampon commercials, condom commercials, P-Valley. We waiting for the series to come. I mean, you can see it all now.
Yes.
But back when the book was coming, it was just like these things were not talked about. Like you didn't talk about suicide really much. You didn't talk about alternate relationships. You didn't talk about the men being weak because we were always taught to just be strong. And so even though I wrote the book in 3 days, I put it on the shelf because I kept saying, I'm going to publish this book. I'm going to publish this book. I'm going to publish this book. And I'm like, no, I can't publish this book. It's got too much in it that people may not understand. And you can't write that explicitly about a love scene. You can't really put those words into play like that. These people are going to be like that. And I worked in a profession where you really couldn't do that. And so what I learned over the years, I said, you know what, James, while you're comfortable being you, you never know what this book could be to somebody else. So maybe God gave it to you for a reason. So I was so scared, nervous. I kid you not. But I said, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna publish this doggone book, and I'm gonna see where it goes. What I was smart was I thought, let me let a couple of people read it first, because sometimes you think that you really got something special, and then the people say,
I don't know about this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cute for the house, but let's not go outside with it, right?
Yeah.
And so I let a couple of people read it, some different people, some older people, some younger people, a guy, a girl, and I got overwhelming. Like, what? What? Are you serious? And over the years that it was on the shelf and I never did anything with it, I just kind of watched to see if there was a storyline like mine, because I didn't want to put the book out 20 years later and then someone tries to sue me and say, you know what? That's my story. I got, what I was smart to do is that I did send it to the Library of Congress to make sure that I had it, copywritten so that, so that I wasn't trying to copy somebody else's story and I didn't want anybody to copy mine. So when I actually put the book out there, it sold like crazy. Now, of course, you got your support system of your people that's gonna buy it. It could be trash. You
Right.
know,
They just
your
gonna buy
mama,
it
your
because you put
cousin,
it
your
out there.
uncles, your friend, it could be trash. And they're like, oh, we bought it because you did it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but so I wasn't worried about them because I knew I would have the support, but I know they would also tell me the truth. But
Right.
it sold like hotcakes. It really did. And I got so many people who text me, who emailed me, who actually went to my website and left reviews of the book and just said it changed my life. It really released some stuff in me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm like, come on. I've been waiting for 20 years. I could have got this 20 years ago. Come on. And so I knew that that book was not the end. Like I knew that what was happening within that book, that was going to be need to be another version. And so I knew
Mm-hmm.
now. I'm like, just write freely, man.
Yes.
Just write freely. Just go ahead and write it, you know. And so it really, like, to answer your question, it really hit me just kind of all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of I did it, and it worked.
And I'm so glad that you continue to do that because, as being an author, I know for myself, it's kind of hard putting yourself out there
Right,
because you know that not everybody's gonna be receptive to what you
right.
have to
That's right.
say. And you have to have thick skin because they will
You got
leave some
thick
reviews and they
skin.
will let you know, hey, this
That's
is
right.
bad.
That's right.
Listen, my very first book that I written is still not published, and I wrote that like about over 15 years ago.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I don't know why I'm just hanging on to it. I don't know because that's my baby. But the books that I've put out, I mean, I've released 14 books. So
I need to be where
yes,
you are.
listen, it was not easy, but I
Uh-huh.
love the journey that it has taken me. I've met
Absolutely.
so many amazing people like yourself, and I just get to just be me because
That's
I don't write pretty happy endings and things like that. I write about life.
that part. That part.
Yes, because all the fairy tales, yes, that's fine and good. We gonna leave that to Disney, okay?
That's right.
We gonna write about what we got going on over here, like for real.
That's right.
And because people like relatability and the
That's
fact
right.
that your book was well received, people
Hmm.
probably saw themselves in the characters
Right.
and the
Right.
storylines and the things that they had to go through. So without giving too much away, just tell us like a little bit about the book one, your debut novel.
So book one actually is about four guys who are best friends and have been best friends since they were little. They were very talented guys who were singers, and so they had won all type of awards around Baton Rouge. They had been in Southern University's talent show. They won the talent show in high school, so they really were amazing. But they made a promise to each other in the backyard where they actually cut their fingers and put their, back then we said thing,
Blood
so they
brothers.
call themselves blood brothers, right? And that they would go to college in the places that they wanted to go, but they would meet up in New York, and they would actually make this singing thing actually happen. And
Hmm.
so they did that. They were very successful in their different places. They had a lot of different experiences, but they kept in touch with each other and ended up in New York City, trying to pursue this thing. What happened is that these guys, their lives started to change as they got older. Life started to happen as they got older. Since they had been apart from each other, different things had started to happen to them as they got older. But being men that they were, when the things started happening to them, you would think that they would be able to get close to each other and say, "Hey, bro, look, I'm going through this." Well, they just started suffering in silence because I'm like, I can never tell my brother that I'm going through this, or I would
Hmm.
never say that this is happening to me. So you see these characters where they were really really good guys, really strong guys, really connected guys, start to suffer. And realistically, the issues came in things that they either knew about or didn't know about. You have one of your characters, he was in love for the first time with this girl that kind of left him, and he after she left, he became a womanizer because he could never get that thing that he had with her, so he just started going to women, right?
Mm.
He had one where he was actually the big brother to the little brother, but he was more like a dad to the little brother, and the little brother was always in trouble, and so he couldn't really live his life based upon trying to really raise and take care of this brother.
Hmm.
Other guy who was, they knew he was going to the NFL. He was just that great of an athlete. His dad had been pushing him for the longest to get to the NFL. Towards his Achilles tendon and really couldn't go. And then his life became strained with his dad. And so he decided he now wanted to go into another field, another turn in his life to do something else. And his dad broke all communication with him.
Mm.
So to the point to where he just went through so much hell because bills are coming in. He couldn't talk to his dad about who had been his biggest confidant. He ends up becoming really good friends with another guy.
Okay.
So now all of these different dynamics of these guys are starting to happen, and where they should have drawn them closer to each other, it really pushed them further and further apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like you. There's not always a happy ending. There's
Mm-hmm.
not always this thing that at the end, oh, it all worked out. Sometimes it just doesn't.
It doesn't.
And so in the midst of reading the story, I found that the people that read the book, and they all had a character that they loved. They were like, I was connected to this character. Oh no, that book, that's my boy there. Or like, damn, and so they get connected to these characters and they become real to them. So when I've had like maybe 4 book reviews where I've talked with the people, and they start talking like these people are real. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, these are fictional characters, but the people talk like they're really like these are real characters, right?
Yes,
And so they're like, you got to do a book too. And so it came to a point to where they're like, by the time you got to end the book, they're like, okay, what's the next book? There's got to be another book. There's no way that it could end there. It just and it wasn't an abrupt stop, but it really for me was like that was enough that I could put in that book. Now I'm telling you, Miss KeKe, I said to myself, are you Milli Vanilli? Are you a one-hit wonder? Can you really do this again? Like, can you do it again? So I was skeptical about writing the second book, but then boom, it hit me, and I started writing. It took me 7 days to write this next book.
Okay.
7 days to write this next book, and I tell people what's so funny about it though is when I wrote this book, Brother Rouge, and that's the brothers that love cutting their fingers, and
yes, I love it.
Yeah, that's that connection. And Brother Rouge is because Rouge of Baton Rouge, they're from Rouge, and Rouge is real. I try to make all the connecting pieces. You try to be real.
I love it. Me too.
Abstract and pull it all together or whatever. And people loved the book and read it because of who I was. But I did find that even though people that read the book passed it on to someone else or said, you got to order this book for yourself because they liked it, I knew I needed to step up for this next book. And I had to really explain the characters, but I had to change something. And because I knew my audience were females, where I had a lot of guys that read my book, but it was females and I'm like, how can I get this book in Walmart? How am I going to get it in Target? How am I getting this place? And they was like, well, you probably need to change the cover. So I changed the cover of the book so you knew who the guys were.
Got me in on it.
No, so right. And the guys from this book are these guys, moving forward. But I had so many people that said, oh, no, I got to read this. Because just from the cover, I'm like, are y'all real? Are y'all serious? Y'all don't read this book just because of the cover? Yeah. But you see the guys in this book grow. Like you see their maturity into real manhood, because in this one, they had just gotten out of college. They didn't know a damn thing about moving to New York trying to be famous. They were from Baton Rouge, but they learned to live and thrive through it. So as this book happens, this is where their growth and their maturity really comes to play. So it's been a really good journey with these books. I promise you, it's helped me. It's helped me to be free in my thinking and my writing. And the first question I always get is, who are these characters? Are they real people? Is one of these
people
characters
love to ask that question.
Are you one of these people? I'm like, no, I'm not. Are they a combination of some people that you know? I'm like, no, it really is fiction, but it's realistic fiction because the stuff that happens is real life. Things that we go through, we go through suicidal thoughts. We go through, these moments of, am I going to make it here? When do I become a adult and have to pay all these bills? Like, when I have to be responsible for myself, and I ain't asked my mom, my daddy for a cash app,
Right.
So it really started to sell, and I was not. The money wasn't a thing for me, that wasn't the thing for me. It was for people to understand these characters and know that they could find solace in knowing that these characters help them. Because people I got, and again, and my from the reviews I got was like, I've been through this. I've had this to happen. This was my little brother. Or this was my little cousin. I've already bought the book, gave it to them because they need to read it, because this is stuff that they're going through. So that's the biggest part of why the book has meant so much and why I had to get it out there.
So what's the age genre? Because can my 14-year-old read it?
No. Okay. I would say college kids and higher.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say college kids and higher. I wouldn't do for now. I will say this. I will say this. I think that there are parents that are very open and honest with their kids about life. Um, but there are some adult scenes in the book that are very explicit. Now, what
Mhm.
I always ask the question is to the people that read it, do the scenes in the book actually take away from the storyline?
Mhm.
And from what I was told, they don't. Like they only enhance the storyline because life is life and people do things, you know.
People do
But
things.
people do
Yes.
things and enjoy doing things, you know.
Yes.
And so, but they were like, no, it really helped the storyline because it explained um, the guy who had been going through this womanizing thing where he was going through this women, whatever, because he was missing, and then the girl shows up, like, where the hell you been, you know? And so it explains all those things. It helps it out. So yeah, I wouldn't say a 14-year-old unless, as a parent, these are things that you really talk through with your kid. I have now a 26-year-old, a 24-year-old, and a 22-year-old, and they read them. I gave it to them on your way to college. Like, read this on the ride there, you know, as they were going to college. But I didn't before then. That was just my personal choice.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
I just asked because I have a 14-year-old son and I have a 26-year-old daughter. And she writes too, but she's like, I know she would probably love it, but for him, I might just push back maybe until you like 16, 17 or
Right,
something like that.
right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to choose your battles because
You got to choose your battles. Absolutely.
it's certain things that I know that I wish I wouldn't have known had I not that day. Yeah, I should
Right.
have not. But
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
okay, so uh we now know that you have book 3 coming out this year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
coming
Thank you.
out
Thank you. Thank you.
what next month in December? When is it coming out? Tell the people when it's coming out.
The release, the release and marketing of the book will be all of the month of November, because I really want. There's some really special things that I'm doing with the book. Like I'm making a commercial for it because I know this little guy who is he's an actor. But he looks just like the new guy in the book. So we're doing a commercial for the book. I'm really pushing my marketing with the book because I want people to be as excited as I am about the book. Because you know what? This book is different. This book is different from the other two. So, you know, I kind of jumped off the Milli Vanilli train, you know. And so I did also just a screen reading, a mock reading, and as well as an individual reading with some other people to let them read the book to tell me what they thought. I think that this is even better than the first two. Because I think that it's better than the first two, and these are my heart. Like these are my starts. These are what God gave me to get just the start to say, do it. But the bridge is actually coming out. All the marketing is the first month of November, and then the actual book release is the 3rd of December. So it's going to be a Christmas book. So you can buy books for everybody on your Christmas list. You can have 1,000 books under your tree to give to people. And I tell you, I have the type of mother she's an avid reader. When I tell you, she travels to places to book signings, and she has a room just full of books, and then she has um an iPad full of books. So my mom is a reader, and so she's the first one that she'll tell me the truth. Like mom loves or whatever, but she'll say, you know what? I love you behind closed doors. I'll support you outside this, but this is trash, right? She read the book. My aunt read the book. They love the book. I'm excited about where
I'm
it's going. So
excited
it's
too.
gonna be a lot
Listen,
of stuff coming.
I see a movie coming. Listen.
Now let me tell you something, because somebody prophesied to me. I deal with prophecy. I'm like, when you tell me that, I believe that kind of stuff. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be a movie." I'm like, okay. And one of the things that I did, I'm a little crazy about. I'm a little crazy, but listen, when all these books came, when I sent these books out, I looked up addresses for any celebrity I could find. Tyler Perry was the first one I looked up. Ellen, Steve Harvey, Diana Ross, Beyonce, anybody. It was maybe 45. I mailed them out, put labels on, and I sent these books out with both books. Now, to this day, this book came out in 21. This came out in 22. To this day, I've not received not one of those books back. Not one. So I don't know if they took it and said, who in the world, and threw it on the shelf, and said, I'll get to it, or if they threw it in the trash. It never came back to me.
Never came
so
back to
it
you,
is
though.
my it is my belief then it might be sitting on the shelf and saying, well, what is this? Okay, well, let me just take it out and read and go, I've been holding on to this. Okay, let's find SemajE. Let's find SemajE. And so I'm just kind of crazy belief kind of person like that, right? And so I just believe that that will definitely happen. So when you say, yeah, it's going to be a movie, hell yeah, I believe it.
And I'm gonna be right there in the front row.
I'm gonna be looking for you. And I'm gonna be looking for you. I'm gonna be looking for you. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. I believe it. I do believe it. So I'm so proud of you, and I could tell that your passion is just so on fire for your work, because when you talk about it, you light up your face and all the things. So you guys, tell the people how they can get them, how they can get your books, how can they, support you and get the books and be ready for the third one to come out.
So I have a website for my book. It's www.SemajE, that's SEMAJE 1906.com. So the books are there on my website. That you can go to the website and get the books. You remember, you got to get Brother in Rouge first. The sequel to Brother in Rouge is Painted in Rouge. And then there'll be other marketing things that are definitely coming out for the next book, which is The Bridge. On that, what I always ask more than anything when you read the book is to go back and leave me a review on the page. Because when people that have not read the book before, they're like, well, it sounds good. He lights up when he talks about his book, but that's his book. So I love when people leave their reviews, because when you open up the page and you scroll down a little bit, it gives you those reviews where people have actually read the book and they talk about it. And so if you don't believe me, then maybe you'll believe the other folks that actually read the book.
Right.
And these are, I think maybe of several I have in there, there's only one of them that is someone that I know. Everybody else
don't know. Oh, that's awesome. Because people,
I don't know.
People don't like leaving reviews. And I was like, that's the main thing that I hate about being an author. It's like, what is if you read the book and you like the book, tell the people on Amazon or wherever that you like the book.
Exactly.
But,
Brother in Rouge is actually on Amazon. Is on Amazon.
Okay.
Painted in Rouge is not yet. You can get it both from the website, but this is actually on Amazon.
Okay.
Brother in Rouge is on Amazon.
Listen, all of his information will be in the show notes, so you don't have an excuse. Tell the people how to connect with you, though, before we get into because you have other stuff going on. But before we get into that, tell the people how they can connect with you on social media.
So I have a Facebook page. I'm James Smith on Facebook. That's my real name. That's what my mama named me. And SemajE is just James spelled backwards. And Edward is my middle name, so I use my tag name of SemajE. I'm SemajE on Instagram. Well, SemajE 1906 on Instagram. I am SemajE. I'm SemajE Designs on TikTok. And I'm also SemajE Designs on Instagram. So on Instagram and TikTok, you can either hit me at SemajE 1906 or SemajE Designs. And yeah, I love, if you DM me and saying, I love to talk about my books. I actually, throughout the course, I also do Zoom book reviews. And so when I put them there, I would love for you to come and be a part of the Zoom, whether you've read the book or not. I promise you, you're going to get engrossed in these characters because they're so relatable and so real. And you're going to find one, or if not two, if not all, that you actually love and that you feel like you really connect to. So I would love to definitely talk with you, to definitely connect with you, so I can definitely reach through those social media platforms.
Absolutely. All of the information will be listed for you guys. But let's switch gears a little bit, because you do a lot. All right. So clothing designer. I know you're creative and things like that. So how did that come about? Tell us about it. Tell us all the things.
So again, it's funny because I woke up one morning. I told my wife I wanted to sew. I'm short. I'm about 5'7.5", right? So all my life, I can never find pants my size. Like, I'm always cutting them off and having to hem them. I thank God when the 80s and you just kind of roll them up, we used to roll them up and then put them on the side, because that was in, so I didn't have to do too much. But I've always been this short guy who kind of had to alter pants because I just wasn't that tall. I find myself good looking, but a little bit shorter. And then even with shirts, with shirts and stuff, I'm like, how can I match this with that and this with that so I can have a kind of a different look? And so I woke up one morning and told my wife, you know what, I want to sew. And she told me, please go sit down. Just go sit down. Like, so don't do nothing else. Let's just go sit down. I said, I'm gonna tell you. So I went out and bought myself a really cheap little sewing machine. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I made a couple of garden trails.
Oh,
So I'm telling
okay.
my age. If you know about garden trail, right? I
Right.
made a couple of ugly shirts, and she was like, "I told you." Come on now. So I used them. I hung them up, used them as inspiration. I started just really trying making clothes. And so a couple of things. I have two daughters, my wife and my son. So there are five of us. And I started saying, "Hey, babe, put this on, try this on." And with my daughters, I'm like, "Okay, try it on, put this on." And so before you knew it, I started making some pretty good stuff.
Okay.
So over the time frame, it evolved to where the stuff started really looking pretty good, and I started really creating my own brand. So I put it all, built my LLC under SemajE and the little umbrella of SemajE Designs,
Hmm.
to brand myself. And I had made so much stuff that I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna have a fashion show. And so I called all these designers in that I knew that's in the city and said, look, I'm having this show. I just want you to be a part of it. Slowly but surely, all of them backed out.
Oh,
All of them backed out. And so I'm like, well, I didn't pay this money for this venue. I got food coming. I got people I've invited. The show must go on. So I went, when I tell you, I had 6 different scenes, and I made 110 different outfits. I had
oh,
110 different outfits. And so that night was amazing. It was amazing. Um, People were like, you couldn't have made that. That is not something that you made. Those are not things that you actually did. And I'm like, yeah, I did. And so
hmm,
what happened was people started seeing my designs. They started asking me, can you design this for me? Can you make prom dresses for me? I'm like, okay, sure. So when I started designing clothes, um
wow,
that was stuff that I could use. I started really putting together
wow.
stuff that I could, and so it got to the point to where, like, oh, wait a minute, you just might actually be able to do
Oh,
this thing. And so it got to where I started getting calls from people about
mm,
being in their fashion shows. So
hmm.
within the last, I would say, the last couple of months,
Oh, that's sexy right there.
I've been in 3 different fashion shows,
Oh,
with my own clothes, my own designs that I've actually put together and I've made. And so if you're looking for just stuff that I've done, the clothes that I've actually made, and I'm
yeah,
telling Miss KeKe, I would go to stores and I would see a shirt and I'm going,
I can
I'm
make
not
that.
finna pay for that. I can make that shirt. And so people started really wanting the clothes that I made. And so when it all came down to it, people started really saying,
Ooh,
"Hey, I want to buy your clothes." And so it just kind of went from there. So now
yeah.
it's been my brand has opened itself up to urban wear all the way to formal wear. So there
Hmm.
are several. If you look at my Instagram page, you'll see there are different clothes that I've made that I do prom season and so on and so forth. That you can go to my page and see. So I kind of been
You've been working.
I've been working, and I have a full-time job.
Listen, what your wife say when she starts seeing some of these designs?
Now I'm making stuff for her. Now it's funny because when I first started, she was like, "You can you make me this? Can you fix this for me? My zipper is loose in the back of my skirt. I need it for." So at this point, I am now doing stuff for my wife for just hour stuff.
Hmm.
And so I'm excited about what I've been able to do as far as my clothing line. But I just want to be able to leave a lasting something for my family to say that he did this. I want these books. I feel like I'll be able to leave from all my family to see and be proud of, and know
Hmm.
that I did something while I was on this earth.
Absolutely. And you
Yeah.
just good being me. You just good being
I'm
you.
yeah, and I'm unapologetically SemajE. I promise that I am. And one thing I loved about wanting to be on your show, because your energy was so, like, I don't know if you saw me looking at you. I'm like, I was thinking, like, this lady is terrific. I'm like, and then I promise. And when you walked up and when you talked at the thing and you said, look, I'ma just tell you, things happen when they happen, and everything ain't no happy moment, and it's gonna be some things that's gonna be what. And I'm like, I really like her, and so when you said, well, there's an opportunity for you to come on my show, I'm like, really? So I'm so appreciative of podcasts like yours, to be able to spotlight people like me and just being in real conversations. I'm so grateful and thankful for you and what you're doing here. I'm thank you. I can't even
Listen,
say thank
thank
you enough.
you.
I want to show you that's my daughter. I don't know if you can see her.
I
Um,
can. Oh, I love that top.
and my wife when she well, that's my middle daughter, my middle child. Because
Okay.
my wife maybe made Christmas dresses for them but here comes this is my wife.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I'm gonna have to put you to work, like for
So
real. And I'm being serious because I'm getting ready to launch a magazine. My magazine comes out
come
in
on,
January. I would
come
love for
on.
you and your family to come to my magazine launch party. It is January 6th, 2024. It's the first Saturday in the new year.
Where
I will
are you?
send I'm in Hammond.
Oh,
So you're right down the street.
absolutely, absolutely.
I will send you the official invite because I would love for you guys to come and celebrate. But it's a lifestyle magazine, and you could be featured in the magazine and
Come
have
on
some of
now.
your
Don't
designs.
don't you give me goosebumps. Don't you do that.
I'm so serious. Let's see how God just aligns everything
That's
and
right.
connects you with the right people.
That's
And I
right. That's right.
believe that it's the year of God's people getting what He promised us. I do believe that. We just have to find each other.
We gotta find
We
each
just
other.
have to find each other.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
when I tell you I'm finding my people, I'm finding my people. And I'm so excited about it. So you one of my people. I love it. I love
Absolutely.
it.
I'm right back at you. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yes. So as far as like the design and things like that, how can people like do you do like contracting work and things like that?
If you DM the page, if you DM
Okay.
my Instagram page or my TikTok page,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a lot of people, I'm actually redesigning my website,
Mm-hmm.
so they kind of will be twofold, where it will be my books and my clothing designs,
Mm-hmm.
so that I will officially be there. I put my time and energy into my books because I wanted to. I just think that anything that you do, it should be done with excellence.
Right.
I just
Mm-hmm.
think that if I'm going to put something out there, I want it to look worth something so
Mm-hmm.
that when you get a quality product or you're looking at somebody's website, or you're looking at somebody's whatever, it's worth something.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep speaking to your energy of what I love. You're like, okay, you send a picture, I got a background for you. I'm like, see, that's what I be talking about. Like
Yep.
I look at people who, when you connect, it's not just about what can I do for you, but what you can do for me, but what can I do for you? Like that
Mm-hmm.
back and forth, because we all in this thing
Reciprocity.
together. That
Mm-hmm.
reciprocity, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so people can find me on the website, not the website, on my Instagram page and on the TikTok page and
Okay.
DM for Saturdays. And when you go into my SemajE Designs, that's
Mm-hmm.
where all of
Oh,
the bulk of my clothes are.
okay.
And look for this, yes, ma'am.
Listen, and I got a friend that's doing a fashion show in the spring. It might be in the fall. But look, I'm gonna put her name. I'm gonna put your name in her ear. So hopefully she'll reach out to you and stuff like that. So look, it's all
Well,
about the
all
networking.
of my past fashion shows that I've actually I just did, and the past ones, they're all on my pages, and so they show my work.
Okay.
They show what I'm capable of doing,
Mm-hmm.
and they show the. I'm a real excited person. Like I'm one that I get excited about stuff when I'm getting ready to do stuff. And I'm
Yes.
nervous. I'm nervous because that nervous energy hits you, but at the same time, I put a lot of time, energy, and excellence into what I do. And so, if you're saying I want you to be in something, I'm coming with my A game every single time.
Every time I
Every
see,
single
that's
time.
how I am. That's how I
Yeah.
am. I know that perfection is not like something that just happens,
Uh-huh.
but we can always strive to be that.
That's right.
We can
That's right.
always strive to be that. And I like, look, my year for this year. I mean, my word for this year is divine. Like we walking
Divine.
in excellence from this point on.
That's
And when I
right.
tell you that I spoke that over my life, and then had a couple of people, I believe in prophetic words being spoken of, but I don't receive it from everybody. So I have
That's
to
right.
have that energy. And
That's
nine
right.
times out of 10, if someone speaks it to me, it's confirmation because God has already given it to me.
He's already given it to you. That's right.
Hmm.
I say that all the time. You're not
Yes.
going to tell me nothing God didn't already told
Look,
me.
I
You
have.
just really confirming what he already told me. Because sometimes I'm a little bit scared because I'm wondering, did I really hear
Did
this from God?
Yes.
Did you say that? And then
Right.
if when someone brings it past, and it could be a stranger that will walk past you and say something, going, "Oh, I got it. I heard you." So
Mhm.
yeah, that confirmation always hits you first.
Yep.
And then, it's somebody come by and just really nails that thing home for you. So we're aligned. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. I love it. I thank you for coming to kick it with me. This has been an amazing episode. It's like one
Thank
of my
you.
favorite, like for
Oh,
real. And it's like I am getting ready to put out my 100 episode, and
oh,
this episode
congratulations
is
on
like,
that. Come on.
thank you, thank you. This episode is one of my favorites. It's in the top five for sure.
Oh, I appreciate that. I
Yes,
appreciate
I'm
that.
so excited. Look, some people gonna be mad when they hear that. Some people gonna be mad, but y'all, listen, I love y'all all, but hey, it's the energy, man. It's the
It's the
energy.
energy. It's the energy. Right, right. Exactly. Well, thank you
Yes.
so much. I'm honored to have been a part of this. Thank you so much. Any opportunity I can, but I'm like you. I have had a fun, just be a natural conversation, being able to talk with you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. You're welcome. And so I always ask this question to all of my guests. It's called on a personal note. On a personal note, what would your now self tell your younger self about just, I'm good at being me? I'm just good being me.
I would tell myself that whatever you've been through, whatever you've gone through, hold on. It's going to lead you to a much better place. You're going to meet some amazing people. And from the beginning, God has always had a plan. And you were never in control. He always was. He
Oh,
always was.
I
Absolutely.
love that. I love, see, I don't have to say nothing else. You guys have been listening to another episode of Kicking It with Kiki, Life, Love, and all that other shit. I have been joined today with Mr. SemajE. Thank you again for coming to kick it with me.
You're
It
so
has been a
welcome.
pleasure. We will be in touch soon. All of his information is in the show notes. You guys go and support him. Get the book. Stay tuned for book 3. Be on the lookout for that movie because it's coming.
It's
Because it's
coming.
coming. It's coming. But remember that being you is who you are supposed to be. If you don't like that, change that. Everything that you need to be the best version of yourself is already inside of you. Stop being afraid. Stop letting naysay or negative self talk get you down,
That's
and
right.
just be you and do you. Okay?
Oh,
All right. Later. Purple
talk to you
hugs.
later.